Hello everyone, my name is Rolf, the son of a shepherd, and welcome back to World of Tankfest. Now sadly enough, this is an infantry tank, and it's slow, so I'm gonna get a drink while I drive into battle, and we will see.
Come on, go faster! Come on!
The Churchill 1 is not a fast tank. It was designed as an infantry tank to keep up with infantry, walking speed. This is why I got into battle while we're already 2 tanks down. But at least it's got one thing going for it, and that's armor. It has quite a lot of armor for a tier 5 heavy tank, and the KV-1 seems to have trouble penning me. Until the point where he doesn't anymore. And then he finds my weak spot. Also, did you notice when the Churchill gets tracked, you can actually see the tracks from inside the turret, and if you rewind it a bit, you will see. It's very interesting. The whole heavy tank line for the British is a weird one. You start with the Vickers tank, they are not that bad, but after the Vickers 3 you get the Matilda, a very heavily armored slow tank, which immediately dictates the whole pace for that line up until tier 7. Well, and tier 7 included. You get the Churchill 1 after that, the tank I'm playing, the Churchill 7, which I currently have and absolutely despise, and then the Black Prince. Now the Black Prince is heavily armored, but boy is it useless in a higher tier match. Its 17 pounder is no match for tier 9 or even tier 8 armor at some points. Its armor itself, 152mm from the front, is good. But again, not against some turrets at least, and tier 9s. It is a very, very specific tank. And the reason I have problems with these tanks, the infantry tanks, is that they are slow. Wargaming went for historical accuracy with these tanks, that they are slow and heavily armored. But that doesn't really fit in the whole World of Tanks meta at this point. Maybe after the global rebalance, which I cannot talk about, or the sandbox server, which I am in, by the way, I cannot talk about. NDA Wargaming is like, no, you no talk about this. We will kill you if you do. Or take away your sandbox server rights, whatever. But yeah, they went for historical accuracy, which is an interesting thing because Wargaming has said in the past they want to go for historical accuracy, but balancing reasons are there as well. And they have sort of left the Churchills and the Black Prince in the dark. They are very slow, they are heavily armored if they are top tier. The rest they are completely useless. Their turning radius is terrible. They have no side armor, no back armor. Their guns are medium tank guns, which you have to flank around. Think of the Cromwell and the Comet. Not on Churchills. They seem weak, underpowered. They seem too slow to get into battle. They are very, very, very team-dependent tanks. But as the mighty Jingles once said, and many times after that one time, even a broken clock is right twice a day, which means that this tank will have battles in which it isn't bad. And this is one of them. Now you might have noticed by this point, I am carrying binoculars on this tank. Now why am I carrying binoculars? No idea. I had a slot left and I slammed in some binoculars. The heavy tanks at tier 5 and any other tank doesn't really have that amazing view range. Now with the right crew skills maybe you do, but I don't expect anyone at tier 5 except for steel clubbers to have a good crew. So what I do is I take my binoculars, get that 25% bonus when I'm standing still, and then I might even spot for my team in a slow fat heavy like this Churchill. And this is one of those times where the binoculars actually come in use. There's a Churchill 1 AFK in their own base, and I would have never spotted him without the binoculars. I would have needed to close the distance, and I have no idea what that Panzer S-35 is. And the same with that Crusader earlier in the match. If I didn't have my binoculars, I wouldn't have killed him. Then this match would have maybe had a different outcome. I don't know. We've had a pretty strong base defense that stuck 3G, climbed into the mountains, and camped like a beach and killed everyone that drove into our base, so well played to him. Now this replay, I've got 7 kills, the Stuck 3G's got a lot of kills, good base defense. I did not feel happy with this game, there is a reason for that. I didn't do much. I drove forwards, did the pew-pews, killed some enemies, and suddenly I'm on 7 kills. The only bit of skill that came into this game is when I decided to stand still and hopefully use my binoculars to spot the Crusader driving over the open field. That's the only bit of thinking I did in this game. I was talking on TeamSpeak to people, and this game just sort of happened. I wasn't thinking, I was just drive forward, pew-pew, get the double, please don't die. And then I suddenly realized somewhere around this point, wow, I've got 7 kills, didn't really notice. Maybe I can get a Radley Walters out of this game. A Radley Walters that just sort of got thrown into my lap. No one really shot me apart from the KV-1. No one really got to shoot me because I was constantly behind my own tanks. In a top tier heavy tank, interesting, but I didn't have the chance to get in front of them. I was too slow. I couldn't, I wanted to, but I couldn't. The Churchills, they are a specific bunch of tanks that I just don't like. Which makes me rather sad, because I can remember the British tanks coming out and I was really excited for the Churchills. They are iconic, they are interesting, they have helped history become what it is now. And they suck! At least in World of Tanks. I'm not sure if they sucked in real life. Probably not, because they got cover from the air support. They had infantry next to them. They broke through lines with infantry. In World of Tanks, they are XP pinatas that people just shoot at. And we are back with Schlegel playing in the FE215B, the tier 10 version of the British heavy tanks. That's the tank I'm working towards, the tank I want, the tank that is very interesting because the turret is mounted on the back of the hull. Now before I start talking about random stuff, a couple of things. The minimap will be small for a great portion of the match because I started recording this and I walked away and completely didn't see the minimap was small. The other thing is, Schlegel doesn't joke around with his FE215B, putting almost full premium, all the good stuff, 3 marks, Clan Wars camo, it is the real deal in this tank. There is absolutely no messing about whatsoever. He plays this tank to own phase, and own phase is what he will do. He will show the power of the FE215B if you don't have to deal with hilly areas. Now the FE215B is a funny tank, it was technically not even really designed. Wargaming was like, we need a tier 10 heavy tank for the British, we don't really want to make the Chieftain yet, so let's do this instead. And so the FE215B came to be. B. And before you start screaming in the comment section, all he does is spam gold, it's his own choice, it's his own credits. The gun AP has 259mm of penetration, in my opinion good enough for most tanks, maybe a few APCR rounds isn't bad. You know his in-game name, go tell him what you think. Please don't. But anyway, most of you, I assume all of you actually at this point, have noticed that the title of this video is TANKFEST preparations or something like that. Maybe I'll change the name to, I don't know, Hugs from TANKFEST? I don't know. I am, at release of this video, on my way to the airport. If you're watching this video on the Friday, Saturday or Sunday, I am in England at TANKFEST. It is this weekend and I am going to lick tanks and hug QB and probably meet some people, if you are there. If you are there, you cannot see this video. Well, maybe on the Thursday before you leave, because I will leave on the Thursday, so I'll be there Thursday evening and be there on the Friday, go to Monkey Rule. And then on the Saturday and Sunday, we'll do tank-related shenanigans. Now, there's a few things at TANKFEST. I have seen that this year the weather might not be as great as last year. There's going to be some cloudy areas and possible rainstorms. Boo, nature always there to ruin your day, isn't it? But there's going to be a lot of community contributors. If you are going, well, of course, Kiriki will be there, Circuflurxes will be there, Ektar will be there. If you are there, go and hug Ektar. It's his last thing at Wargaming, I believe, that is public. Go and hug him, tell him he did a great job, and stroke his beard. Of course, Rita and Jingles are there, Mr. Crow's there, Pointy-Haired Jedi, Aging Jedi, Sir Havoc, and all sorts of more different language community contributors. They will be all there. It's going to be a big TANKFEST. Last week, I asked where TANKFEST was going to leave all the vehicles in the Vehicle Conservation Center. Jingles, in his Mingles with Jingles, said they moved a couple of vehicles out and they put them around the museum for you to see, which is interesting to say the least, because it's going to be a rainy day. I assume they want to keep those tanks dry. Instead, they're going to be outside, probably. I don't know yet what the tank museum exactly is doing with those tanks. All I know is I will be there to see it. Speaking of TANKFEST, seeing as we've been talking about TANKFEST for the last couple of minutes, tickets have completely sold out by this point. I am in England. I'm pretty sure you cannot get tickets anymore, which is not that surprising because TANKFEST is being more and more advertised every single year. Also with Wargaming sponsoring all sorts of stuff, TANKFEST is growing to be an extravaganza of tanks and shenanigans, which is pretty cool. But sadly enough, Wargaming is also using TANKFEST as a way to promote their game even more. Of course, there will be people from the surrounding areas who know that TANKFEST is a thing and they want to go because lots of tanks are literally driving around the arena. And then they see World of Tanks, World of Warships, World of Tanks Blitz, and they get interested in playing that. And that's the target audience Wargaming is targeting. They want more people to play their game by advertising it at a massive tank festival. And World of War boats apparently as well. I don't know what the deal is with that. Apparently, I think they just want to promote more of their games. Which, it's a company, that's what they do. They promote their games, but we are at TANKFEST for the tanks. And, you know, some people actually go to meet the community contributors, which I cannot blame them because Circumflexes, Jingles, QB, Rita aren't known, well actually Jingles and Rita are known for getting out in public, but Circumflexes and QB for example are not, and that's the only time in the year you can actually meet them and greet them and lick their faces. Lick their faces to it. It is almost a big vicious circle. World of Tanks is promoting their game at TANKFEST and they're using community contributors that have gathered fans to get fans to go to the Tank Museum, so the Tank Museum gets more guests and their games that they are promoting at the Tank Museum get more exposure. It is a scary circle of business model that I don't really understand, and I'm quite interested in it actually. But where Wargaming does actually look like they're only there for self-promotion, they are helping the Tank Museum with getting guests, and the Tank Museum needs the guests because they've got a lot of tanks that they want to restore in there, and that takes money and time. And the time is something they cannot be gifted. Money is, well, not really gifted. People pay for the tickets for TANKFEST, and TANKFEST is used to gather fans and people to look at the tanks they have restored. So it's not only a good business model for Wargaming, it is absolutely amazing for the Tank Museum itself so they can have more tanks in the future. And while Schleicher has been owning FaZe, I've been talking about England and the Tank Museum. And today's theme were British tanks. It's almost as if I planned this out. Almost, not quite. Hope you enjoyed today's video. I will be back on Sunday with a special video that you won't expect. And next week, when I'm back from TANKFEST, a legend. And possibly a vlog, who knows? I don't know what I'm doing yet.